Hi there, I'm Dani Henderson, spiritualtherapist.com. And my beautiful guest today is a man who's been on a very assaulted journey his entire life. He has spent a lot of time in and out of the prisons in Great Britain. He came into England. He was originally in Scotland. He is part Ghanaian, African, and part Scottish. He was actually adopted as a baby boy. He was taken from his birth parents at 6 weeks and finally adopted with his family in Sussex in England at 6 months old. He came into a dominantly white family as this beautiful, much wanted, much loved little boy. And to say that, I know that's true, because Matty here is actually my cousin. He's my first cousin. Welcome, Matty. How are you, darling?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well.
Thank you.
No, it's very good to have you here because, you know, like I was saying to you, your life is just so fascinating and so many ups and downs. And there's so many layers that we could go to. You know, we could say that you came into this family, you were adopted, you're mixed race. What's it like being raised by a white family? Also, we could go into you were adopted, because we know those two subjects alone can really play havoc on the mind and the mental frame of the child, you know. But
yeah, definitely.
Because you are my family. Let's have more light in your face. There you go. Because you are my family.
There you go.
I can stand with my hand on my heart and I remember your adoption, and I remember the excitement in the whole family, and I remember you were so wanted and you were so loved. And I remember your dad was this great salesman and you had a bigger house, you guys, and there was a few more quid. And I remember when your dad got you a computer. Like, none of us got a computer, but your dad got you a computer because your parents recognized that you were really bright, you were really clever. And I remember your dad, I remember going up to your bedroom and you were sitting there and you had these gold rimmed glasses on, you were about 12. And you were so excited. You were so excited to show us the computer. And me and my brothers, we'd never seen a computer. You know, it was like, whoa, it was amazing. So from that perspective, Matty, I can give that truth that I witnessed you as a 6-month-old beautiful baby boy being adopted into our family. So can you start with a little bit of telling me, what was it like growing up being a mixed race child? When did you notice?
God, yeah, this I first noticed, I suppose, when I went to primary school, infant school. That's probably when I first noticed I was different to everyone else. Oh no, a different colour to everyone else. So obviously we're going back to like the very, very late 70s, early 80s. Obviously there's a lot of different time then. There's a lot of racism about, and so it was a different, it was a lot of different time. We've got bullied quite a bit at primary school, but then like I said, when I was about 11, 12 years old, and I was shot up. Everyone sort of just left me alone after that. But yeah, it's obviously, as you know, the town I was brought up in was predominantly white. There wasn't many black people there at all. So I stuck out like a sore thumb. But I think I had a really good upbringing. I was lucky. I was brought up with a loving family. Whilst it's a quiet town, it's a small town. It's a Howsham. It's a little cattle market town, village in East Sussex. And yeah, I did have quite a good upbringing. I enjoyed my childhood for the most part. Being adopted, I must admit, there's always been a part of me that thought I didn't belong, or I wasn't part of the family, because obviously I wasn't naturally born to my parents. Then obviously you feel a bit abandoned as well. Obviously from your birth parents. Obviously I understand why she's done it. Obviously back in the 70s, a single mother, got no help at all. There's no benefits. There's no support like there is nowadays. So I do understand why she's done it. But obviously when you're a kid and you find that out, you don't have that understanding. You don't have that life experience. And so obviously you take it to heart a lot more. If that makes sense.
Yeah. you know, and now you're a man, you're nearly 47, and I wonder how you think back now of your birth mother, because it takes such courage for any mother or any father to give up a child,
Yeah.
You know,
I
it's
know,
sometimes
yeah.
more selfish to keep a baby when you've got no means, you've got no funds, and maybe you've got addictions and you're unwell, but you still love that child. But it's a very difficult subject, and it's one that so many people judge, and you know, it's easy to judge, isn't it, Matty? But we don't always know.
Yeah.
We don't always know.
No, yeah.
How did you, when you found out you had a birth mother and a birth father, did you ever go looking for them or wondering or asking about them?
I've obviously, you wonder about it all the time, but I've never actually put any groundwork into finding them. Before it was a bit like disrespectful to my mum. Also, no, she spent like 20 years bringing me up, no feeding me, clothing me. I thought it was a bit so started sticking my fingers up at her. But not only that, obviously my birth mother, she's going to have her own family now. She's probably married. She might even have her own kids. I don't want to rock the boat, so to speak. But you never say never. I might do in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's a different time. 47 years ago is a very different time, and you know, and we were just saying as well that, you know, you and I are first cousins. We are family. And even though we don't share the same bloodline, isn't it bonkers that you're part Ghanaian, African, and part Scottish? And our family, we're all like Scots, you know. So like we still have that. Yeah. How do you feel when, you know, the Scottish blood, I find it so, like, if someone says to me, like, okay, I'm quarter Welsh, quarter English, half Scottish, where is my allegiance? Now, I don't care for the flag or the politicians or anything, but my heart just pumps hard for Scotland. Anything to do with Scotland the Brave, the Highland Games, you know, we all play the bagpipes in our family. You know, my dad's a great champion bagpipe player. Big George, 5'8" of him. Your uncle. There's just something that gets me fizzing. Like, how do you feel when you tap into that Scottish heritage that you have?
I do. I must admit, obviously, you know, I'm a big football fan. I do follow Scotland's progress. Obviously, I know they haven't really got a very good team now, but I do follow their progress now. I do get excited as well. Because, I mean, I've always said that your birthright is from your parents. No, if your parents were obviously my parents were African and Scottish, and that makes me my allegiance obviously with Scotland obviously is the country I was born in as well. And obviously, I've never actually been to Africa, and that's a bit hard for me to say I've got any allegiance to Africa. But I've been to Scotland loads of times, and it's a beautiful country. It really is. Is.
Yeah, it's stunning. Yeah, good. I'm glad you've explored that side of you. So let's get down to your sound isn't that brilliant. So if you could just slow down just a little bit, because you've got a beautiful Sussex accent. So a lot of people, you know, will attune their ear to it. So let's go into what led you to your first crime, and what was your first crime?
My first crime was robbery. It's I'm not trying to avoid the blame now. I take full responsibility for what I did. But it's just I wouldn't say peer pressure. But partly peer pressure. But partly like the people I was knocking around with. But then, like I say, no, I'm responsible for what I did. I take full responsibility for it at the time. I pleaded guilty. That was cool. 1994. March 15th, 1994. I eventually went to court in September that year, and I got 3 years. And that was my first prison sentence.
Was that with an old couple, an elderly couple, and you were hiding behind the curtain?
No.
Is that another one? That's the one I heard of one. Not that we're mocking it at all, and it's great. You know, you're a man, you can take full responsibility, and you can highlight how kids are pressured or feel pressured into wanting to belong and then doing a dare and then getting caught and suffering the horrific consequences. So you first crime was robbery. So where and what was it?
It was an old lady. It was in Eastbourne, just not on the seafront itself, and that, but just not far from there, the seafront in Eastbourne. It was like a purse snatch. That was in March 1994.
Oh, you snatched her purse.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know. Yeah, I wasn't hiding behind the curtain or anything like that. Don't know where that comes from.
Right. Interesting. Goodness. And you got caught. And you went to prison for 3 years. How old were you?
I did, yeah. I was 18.
Oh my God.
I just turned 18. Yeah, I turned 18 in December.
So what was your first experience of prison like?
Not the best, obviously. In prison, there's a code, so to speak, and they don't like sex offenders. They don't like police informers. They don't like people going around beating up women or women, children, or old people. If you do that, then you normally end up on the protection wing.
Wow.
Obviously, you're in prison. It's not. Most people in there might just be in there for like selling drugs and things like that. But most of the people in there are in for violence. For violence. If you go in there, you've done something like that, then they normally put you on protection. It wasn't the best experience of my life. You get people saying myself, I was a doddle. I've done the standing on my head. It's a load of rubbish. It gets to everyone. It does get to everyone.
Wow. So were you put on the protection ward because your crime, in essence, was a violent crime, grabbing an old lady's purse?
Yeah. I was, when I first went in, and when I got transferred, I was taken off it.
So you're with sex offenders, rapists. We can't say the word because of all the censorship on BoobTube. We can't say the word where you're harming our little ones, but those kinds of people, it sounds like bile. So you're with all of those who are 18 years old. I mean, you're still a kid. You're still a child at 18.
Yeah.
Did you serve the full 3 years? And did you have a cellmate?
I didn't know. I did have a cellmate. In England, you only serve half your sentence. So if you get 3 years, you serve 18 months behind the door, and then the 18 months you serve out in the community. You have to go to probation like once a week. And then I mean, if you commit another offence in the other 18 months, then you go back to prison and you carry on serving your sentence. It's not the same as in America.
Okay.
If you get 10 years over here, you only do 5.
Right. So is it okay to say, were you physically harmed in any way while you were in prison for that time?
Yeah, I did. No, not because of the offences, because I was being mouthy. And I got my jaw broken. And,
what?
I know, yeah.
You had your jaw. One punch.
Yeah, one punch broke my jaw in 2 places, outside and outside. So that's my fault. I shouldn't have been talking to him. It was just me trying to act big in front of everyone. It didn't work.
As is the normal behavior of a young man coming into manhood and trying to figure out where he fits and to be strong in an environment like that. Well, bless your heart. Bless your heart. Did you have to have your jaw wired?
I didn't actually. No, I didn't know. I was quite lucky in that respect. Yeah, normally you do, don't you? But I had a couple of. I still got them, obviously. Play it that side and play that side. So I couldn't eat anything for a couple of weeks.
Goodness.
I kept dribbling as well. It's not nice.
You kept what?
I kept dribbling.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, your mouth stays open. So you're not dribbling all the time.
Wow. So when you came out of prison, what kind of care was there for you being on probation? Right. This is something
absolutely none.
Okay. So where did you go? To your parents' house or where did you go?
I did, yeah. I went to my mother's house when I got released. And Oh no, so yeah, I went to went back to my mum and dad's house when I got released, and we fell out. Obviously, me being a young man again, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do, not abiding by their rules. So eventually they kicked me out, and yeah, from there, obviously it's not their fault, but yeah, from there my life went downhill rapidly.
Oh, so
Started,
go ahead.
so yeah, so yeah, from there that's where like my drug problem started. That's where I first started using drugs.
And what kind of drugs? And did you not try drugs in prison?
I did. I mean, I was smoking. You know what I mean by weed.
Yes.
So smoking weed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Obviously, I was smoking weed before then, but then when I got out of prison, after I got kicked out of my mum's, I started getting onto like the harder drugs like heroin and cocaine.
How did you afford those drugs? And where were you living when you were sent out of the house?
Eastbourne, as you know yourself, it used to be full of like bed and breakfasts, and obviously because it's a seaside town, it's a holiday town, it's like a holiday resort town. So there's lots of hotels and bed and breakfasts just there. And, so I was just literally moving from one of them to another. And I was going out committing crime, obviously for from drugs. So yeah, it meant quite a few very very short prison sentences. Like a month here, 2 months here. Obviously, it's for majority of it shoplifting.
Right.
It's quick. Obviously, it's a quick and easy way to make money, so to speak.
So you'd steal from stores to sell the goods to pay for your drugs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about the sound, Matty. It's a little bit muffled. I'm really hoping people can. It's all right. It's just the situation. I just want to. Your story is important. And this is where we're at, like in society. It's so, it's really time to like kind of comb through where we as humanity stand in judgment of others. Where we cast an eye down and go, oh, you've been in prison and you stole off an old lady. And, there's always a propulsion, a reason why. We're not saying that crime is condoned, but, so just as an example, I lived for years in America, like almost 20 years on and off. And they put young men, of color, and of course, us whiteys too. And please, people, don't waste time getting triggered. Just don't choose not to get triggered. Let's just have a real conversation. I'm saying to the audience that will watch this, Matty. I know you and I are cool. But so many young men of color are banged up in prison for smoking weed in America, a naturally grown plant, and left there for years, where the violent offenders towards our little ones and worse. Not that there's anything worse, but they're in and out. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Off you go. It's just
exactly the same over here. Exactly the same over here. This is this put it in perspective. There was a paedophile who messed around with a little boy. He got 6 months. I was in court the same day for 3 shopliftings. I got 9 months. I got 9 months. I got 9 months. I stole a video player and I can't remember what else it was. It was a video player and some other bits. And that from big name shop, national store. And yeah, like I say, there's a paedophile who, one of them in the cell next door to me, and he got 6 months. Honestly, the justice system it needs a massive overhaul.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's completely run by the wrong people. They have no business managing the judicial system. But we've come to understand why that is. Sort of keeping the small ones down and letting the evil rise in areas. What would you consider is the worst offense, the worst crime that you found yourself committing on this journey you were on?
The very first one. My very first one. Like I say, it wasn't. When I say violent, it wasn't. I didn't use any violence. And obviously didn't raise my fist. It was literally just a handbag snatch. But obviously, it's a nasty thing to do to anyone, but especially an old lady. I've regretted that one all my life.
Oh,
All my
do you
life,
ever
so,
get a chance to apologize to her, write her a letter? Was that a possibility?
No, no. Back then, over here now we've got something called restorative justice. Is where you can write to your victims and apologise, and you're meant to get like a shorter sentence if you do it. But I've never done anything like that back then. Obviously, this is back in the 90s. Like probation were next to useless. They're not much better now, but yeah, it was all about punishment back then. It wasn't about rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's rehabilitation. They've got drug courses left, right, and centre, anger management courses. They've pretty much got a course for everything in it. Any crime you've done, they've got a course for it.
Right.
So obviously, I think the justice. I was about to say Justice League, sorry, Justice Team in England now. I think they've realised now that punishing people, and especially in prison, because English prisons, I won't say they're easier. They're a lot easier than American prisons. A lot easier than American prisons, but I wouldn't say they're easy, but they're not as hard as it's made us look out on like films or TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a hard one to explain. No, I'm not trying to. I don't want to sound like I'm condoning what I've done. I don't want to sound like I'm a blasé about it. I'm not. But no, it's a simple fact. That obviously, American prisons are a lot harder than the English ones. I mean, the worst thing about English prisons is the overcrowding. No, pretty much every single cell in England is designed to be a single cell. But I guarantee, I'd say well over 90% of them are two-man cells or three-man cells.
Wow.
No, because they just haven't got the space. They haven't got the space for prisoners. There was a time when not so long ago, where the prisons were that full. People were getting sentenced, going to court, getting sentenced, and actually going into a police station and serving their sentence in the police station until they could get them into a prison. Yeah, is that full? So sorry, keep losing the light. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah.
Yes, yeah, I can hear you better now, see you better now. That's incredible. Just thinking about three men in a cell built for one person, let alone two. The mental trauma that men and women like go through. I mean, it just really, must be such a difficult. What was the maximum people you had in your cell?
Most I've had in the cell was a six-man dorm. So that's where in my first sentence. Six of us. That's when I got my jaw broken.
My goodness, what was that like? Was it a fearful experience? Are you on your toes
Yeah,
the whole time?
You have to have eyes in the back of the head. Now you do have to be on your toes. Not it's a learning experience. Obviously, once you've been to prison a couple of times, you're considered like an old lag, and you know your way around. You know how to behave, not towards the officers, no, towards other prisoners, no, without causing any fights. And that was the only time I ever had a fight in prison. Was my first sentence after that, and I learned then that you don't be cheeky to people you don't know. And yeah, I settled in, which sounds wrong, I know, but yeah.
What would you say to a young boy, that go back down the timeline at your age that you were when you committed your first offence? What advice would you give to young people?
Do not try to fit in. Do not try to fit in. Just be your own person. That was my biggest mistake. Before I went to prison, I was knocking around with a few so-called friends, and I wanted to look big and try to impress them. And I ended up doing 3 years in prison for it, and regretting it every day ever since. So yeah, don't try and impress people. I understand that sometimes through necessity, you might have to steal just to eat. Obviously, I know life isn't always a bunch of roses now, but I really would consider your actions, because the consequences really are not worth it. They really aren't worth it. If there's one thing I could change about my life, it'd be going to prison. There's nothing big, there's nothing hard about it at all. I've been a complete idiot for like 30 years. No, 20 years. Sorry, 20 years. But and yeah, I'm still paying for it now.
Wow.
Like I said, I've been out of trouble for a long time now, but obviously, I've got a criminal record now for the rest of my life. I couldn't even come. I can visit you now. You're not in America anymore, but I can't go to America. We can't go to Australia. No, if you've got any criminal convictions, no restricted travel. Honestly, I cannot stress it enough. No, if you know you're going down that sort of road, change your friends. They won't be there at the end of the day. I promise you that. They will not be there at the end of the day.
That's huge, Matty. Saying that, you saying do not try to fit in. That is a massive statement. And then your friends will not be there. Right?
They won't. They won't. As soon as you're in jail, that's it. You'll never see. You'll never hear from them again until you get out. And they'll be, "Oh, how you doing?" Yeah, honestly, I've had so many friends say, "Oh, don't worry, if you go to prison, I'll send you some money in and all that." No, you don't hear a beat from them. Out of sight, out of mind. Oh, wow. It really is. So yeah, don't try and impress your friends, because if you go to prison, they won't be there for you. I promise you that.
Amazing. I was talking to my friend Jane yesterday. She's British too. She lives here in Costa Rica, and I was telling her that I was going to be chatting with you, my cousin, and she said. I said, Matty and I are going to discuss maybe different kind of like prison reform or any of the ideas he's got, because he's been on the inside. Like, you are the eyes on the ground. Like, you've seen everything that we can only imagine, out there on Civvy Street. She was saying in her mind that the men in particular that have been providers for their family, let's say, they get banged up and they've got no way potentially of making a salary, having a bank account, having some pride to be able to send money out to their families to continue, and then their families could end up on welfare, and there's even more of a stigma. There you go. There's no light on you, darling. Let's have some light on you. That's okay. So talk to that, Matty. Talk to that. Like, what did you see? Are Jane's suggestions sensible and necessary in your opinion?
I think Oh, sorry, that's a tough one. I think. So that's go on. Let me think about that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So, how do men provide and work and send money to their families in prison over this last 30 years of your experiences?
There is some prisons. If you work in prison, you normally get about £10, between £10, between £10 and £30 a week, and obviously, there's not enough to live on. I mean, I know some prisoners obviously carry on their activities, even whilst they're in, especially like I said, in drugs. Now, obviously, they can carry on doing that from behind the door. No, but you don't. Most families now they'll have to go on benefits, or they'll find some other way to survive now, because obviously you can't be support your family not whilst you're in prison, not financially. Emotionally, it's really hard as well, because obviously you're restricted to when you can use the phone, or to how many letters a week you can write. So it's it is, yeah.
It's tough. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Matty? Okay, so we've lost Matty at this stage in the park there in England. I do hope that you've enjoyed our conversation, and certainly some aspects are so mind-opening, aren't they? Some things that we may have never understood or known about the UK prison system. In this time of reformation across the world, lots of people are asking, what's my mission? What can I do? Maybe some of you that watch this will want to get involved and help put wrongs right and help the young people in prisons, especially in the older ones, get the rehab they need, the support they need, the understanding they need. It's very easy to judge, isn't it? Oh, you're in prison. Oh, you're a criminal. Oh, crimbo. You do this, you do that. You steal from old ladies. You know, again, there's always a story behind the actual story that we come to hear. On this channel, Dani Spiritual Therapist, we try to cover as many different subjects as possible that affect all of us in some way. When a relative in a family goes to prison, for example, everyone's affected by it. Everyone, no one's untouched by it, whether they feel shame or whether they feel bad or, you know, whatever the reason might be. I do hope that Matty's vocals come through well. If they don't, you just switch on the CC, switch on the translation button underneath this video, and I will see you soon, and I send you my love. And Matty, God bless you, well done, mate, and thanks for sharing your story. That was not an easy thing to do, and you're a man for doing that. All right, guys, lots of love.